Let's make vegan hot cross bun. So these are all the ingredients you will need to make hot cross buns. So first of all, you will need the zest of 1 orange, 1 yeast packet. You will need 70 grams of sultanas. I'm sure raisins will be fine as well. We're going to also need 50 grams of mixed peel, 500 grams of strong white flour, 300 mils of milk. I'm using almond milk. You also need 70 grams of caster sugar. And then for spices, you need 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon and 2 teaspoons of mixed spice. You will also need 50 grams of melted butter, 2 tablespoons of apricot jam for the glaze. Also need half a teaspoon of salt, and that is everything. Warmed up my milk just for a minute in the microwave, just so it's warm enough to activate the yeast. So I'm going to add my milk into a bowl along with my melted butter, okay, my yeast, and also the sugar. So I'm going to add that all into a bowl, and then I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes to let the yeast do its thing. This bowl here, I'm going to add in my flour, my spices, oops, and my orange zest. And give that a quick mixeroo. Then I'm going to add in my liquid mixture. Obviously, you don't have to use a KitchenAid, just I have one, so I may as well use it. Forgot to say, add a little pinch of salt as well. The dough is nicely combined. It smells delicious. It looks good. Right. Okay, I've been kneading it now for about 8 minutes. I'm just gonna put it in the bowl, and then I'm gonna cover it with a tea towel and leave it until it doubles in size. So hopefully within about an hour or two, we'll come back and check on it. Before, after. So you're just going to take your risen dough out of the bowl, and then you're going to flatten it out nicely, and you're going to add in your currants and your mixed peel. So I've got 70 grams of sultanas and 50 grams of mixed peel here. And then my tip is to lay it all out in the middle of the dough, and then just fold the dough on top of it. Just keeps all the currants in there, and it means they're not flying out everywhere when you're trying to knead it again. And so you're going to knead it for about 5 minutes or so, just to make sure all those dried fruit currant bits are all nicely incorporated. And then once that is done, you're then going to start forming your hot cross buns. So I made 9 hot cross buns, but I think this recipe probably would be better to make 12, as they were very big when mine were finally cooked, which was fine, but obviously more is better, isn't it? So it's better to have 12 in my opinion. So a great tip for when you are making the hot cross buns is to try and make sure that all of the fruit is inside the dough and there's nothing on the outside. That means obviously that when they are baked in the oven, you don't get any burnt sultanas, obviously, which do not taste very nice. So just try and make sure that all of the currants are nicely hidden. Also, a tip which I forgot to do annoyingly is that once you have laid out all of your hot cross buns on a baking sheet, you need to proof them again for another hour. But a tip would be to use a pizza cutter or a knife to just score across onto all of the hot cross buns before you proof them, which means then that when you do put the cross on after they have risen for another hour, the cross stays into the dough and doesn't fall off when they are baked. You'll see me do it in a minute, but I forgot to do it at this point. I did it after. So once you have formed your hot cross bun balls, you're going to proof them for an hour. After they have risen for an hour, here I am, as I mentioned just now, cutting the crosses on top with a pizza cutter. I had to be very careful doing this, obviously, because I didn't want to knock any extra air out of them at this point, so that's why it's probably best to do it before you proof them. Then it's on to making your white cross mixture. So I made a mistake. My mixture for here was too thick, but essentially what you want is 70 grams of plain flour, and then you just want to add a tablespoon of water at a time. You want the white cross to be quite liquidy, but you need it to be thick enough to stick on top of the hot cross buns. And you're going to get yourself a piping bag. I don't have one, so I'm just using an old bread bag, and you just cut a hole at the bottom and then you just pipe your crosses onto your buns. They are ready to bake, so you're going to put them in the oven for 20 minutes, and the oven should be at 220 degrees Celsius. I definitely should have done 12 and not 9. They're huge! Look at the size of them! Let's glaze them! Woo! Apricot jam. Just using 1 tablespoon of apricot jam and 1 tablespoon of boiling water, and then you give it a big, good mix together, and then you can use a brush to brush over your hot cross buns. If you do have seeded jam, you will need to sieve it first though, because you don't want seeds on your hot cross buns. And enjoy!